Hello watch enthusiasts and welcome to Watch Chronicler. The summer is upon us and we all need watches to soak up the sun. Of course, for many, summer plans and holidays have been cancelled due to the coronavirus crisis over the last few months, but as tensions ease around the world, more and more of us are looking forward to a well-earned break. For us enthusiasts, this requires a watch to give you just enough colour to shine, whether on the beach or enjoying an exotic meal on a hot summer's evening. These watches also need to keep up with you on land or at sea, thus making a dive watch a fantastic idea, whilst not being overly expensive should allow them to be worn without undue worry. Of course, you don't need to be told that a Tudor Black Bay, Rolex Submariner or Omega Seamaster would make a fine choice for the summer, or indeed any time, so the watches in today's video are just a bit more unusual to present something different. Before I begin, remember to head over to watchchronicler.com not only to listen to our weekly podcast, but also to catch articles about all the latest, most interesting and most important watches which you deserve to know about. The first watch to discuss is one which has only been on the market for a matter of months, yet has totally changed the way I look at its manufacturer. This is the Seiko King Turtle. Now, since its inception, the Seiko Turtle was an opportunity to add hacking and hand winding to the venerable Seiko SKX dive watch. However, with their most recent version of it, they've made the first Seiko capable of beating the Swiss at their own game. In short, this is the first affordable Seiko dive watch with a scratch-resistant ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, and delightful applied markers. As we all know, the Seiko Turtle is a 200-metre dive watch based on the historic Seiko 6309, made from 1976 to 1988. Yet with the aforementioned upgrades, this is a watch to outdo Swiss equivalents, especially when paired with Seiko's notoriously tough 4R36 automatic time, day and date movement, which is visible under the Cyclops crystal. Aside from the obvious technical upgrades, this is a watch with remarkable refinement to offer a more accessible price point. Take for example the dial, which features a large waffle pattern, applied metal markers, and even brushed and enhanced hands instead of the ordinary set on the Turtle. There's even more where the bezel is concerned, which has a bespoke grip and a tiny crystal to protect the luminous pip at 12. The sizing of this Seiko will be a point of discussion, being 44.3mm across and 48mm from lug to lug, yet due to the cushion shape, most will have no trouble wearing it. For between £520 and £550 with a green or black dial, there simply isn't better value for a tool watch to accompany you everywhere. Moving up in price, you expect more than just improved specifications. Often what justifies spending more on a watch is exclusivity, but most of all charisma and charm. And charm is something that the Alsta Superautomatic has in spades. Resurrected in 2014, Alsta is a brand founded on aquatic activity, and with good cause since Alsta produced the watch worn by Matt Hooper in the 1975 film Jaws. In 2019, however, the Superautomatic, seen in that iconic movie, was relaunched in a limited run of 1975 pieces. With the Superautomatic, it's pretty obvious that Alsta wanted to get it right. For example, whilst almost all this watch is made in Switzerland, the decision was made to use the same automatic movement as the aforementioned Seiko, the NH35 with hacking and manual winding, and above all pretty much the toughest construction on the market, including Seiko's Magic Lever automatic system. It's also clear that money has been spent on the details of this watch, which has, alongside a beautiful tropic rubber strap, which is a costly addition, a carefully constructed replica of the original watch's bracelet, and the same lovely coffin-style dial markers. Similarly, the bezel reads in hours and minutes to make this more than just a dive watch, but a more practical companion. From handling it and from chatting with the brand's creator, the quality is clearly outstanding. Best of all is the 300-metre water resistance, and a 38mm diameter in a squarish case, which makes the watch very comfortable for all. For those after something original, the £795 Superautomatic would be a great choice. A watch which won't surprise anyone by being included in this video is the stunningly made and historically important Ollech Wajs C-1000. Launched last year, the C-1000 is this Zurich-based brand's way to re-enter the market which it created in the 1960s. You see, this brand produced the first 1000-metre dive watch, the Caribbean 1000, in 1964. The C-1000, however, is not a vintage-style watch, but rather a modern interpretation of what a 1000-metre dive watch should be. In brushed stainless steel with a reinforced caseback, heavily domed sapphire crystal and drilled lugs, it's a tool watch par excellence. Nonetheless, this 90% Swiss watch, that's to say 30% more than is required to carry the Swiss-made name, also has beautifully brushed hands, excellent superluminova, and one of the best printed dials available. Most importantly, for a watch which you might wear all through the summer, it has a bit more charm and character than other 1000-metre divers, like for instance the Xinyu 1. Let's also remember that, courtesy of its quadruple gasket crown, this is a watch which can handle absolutely any water-based activity with total ease, and yet remains wearable at 39.56mm across, despite having quite a long lug-to-lug length. Inside, you get a custom-made ETA 2824 with an Ollech Wajs baseplate and rotor. This should be easy to service for many years to come, irrespective of how roughly you treat it. As a final note, these £1,375 watches on the steel bracelet are made to order, so when you pay for the watch, the process of building the watch which will end up on your wrist begins. That's not something you get from other brands. Sticking with a 1000-metre extreme dive watch, let's look at possibly the best traveller's dive watch, the Aquadive Bathysphere 100-metre GMT, which forms a more versatile alternative to Oris's successful watches of the last few years. Sized at 42mm in diameter, in polished and brushed stainless steel, this dive watch is a product of 70s design, and so has a very eye-catching tonneau shape. Rising above the case is a beautifully built and very easily used bezel, in addition to a luminous ceramic insert. The result is a watch which, whilst comparable to Ollech Wajs in function, feels more luxurious. I find the dial of this watch a particular highlight, since it captures a scene of diving in the Mediterranean in the 70s in its orange, yellow or turquoise accents, but also pure functionality in its luminous application. To top this all off, a GMT hand and inner 24-hour bezel give you practicality for summer travel, which is particularly relevant if you intend to travel specifically to get your dive watch wet. Inside this watch you'll find an ETA 2893, which is one of the best industry standard Swiss automatic movements. Originally designed to be slim, this movement is vastly better engineered than an ETA 2824, still hacks and hand winds, and will make a reliable companion. An interesting side note is that Aquadive is owned by Synchron, the former owner of Doxa and the current owner of Isofrane straps. As a result, the included strap wipes the floor with the competition and tops off a really great package, though for a price of around £1,900, it is a bigger investment than the Ollech Wajs. The final watch in this video is an oddity. Logic tells me that the watch I should recommend is the Longines Hydra Conquest Boutique Edition, which offers many of the details of an Omega Seamaster, notably the bezel loom and ceramic dial, for a lower price. However, it isn't very ergonomic, and in the typical moment of not following my own good judgment, I wouldn't buy it. Instead, I would buy the Longines Skin Diver, the best vintage-inspired diver on the market in my opinion. At 42mm and with long lugs, this is a larger piece in exquisitely finished steel, but with a tropical leather strap or Milanese bracelet, you can't argue with how well the lugs drop down onto the wrist. Of course, this watch is based upon the first dive watch made by Longines in 1959, and so wears the cross-hatched markings of a supercompressor crown, despite being threaded, and a PVD bezel to look like the Bakelite original. The dial, in all its grainy, vintage splendour, is a real pleasure, and the quality here is extremely good. A detail which I'm sure many will appreciate is the lack of a date, something which allows the Skin Diver the opportunity to be a viable and rather a lot more original alternative to the Tudor Black Bay. Despite a 300-metre water resistance, this watch isn't really set up to be a professional dive watch, but rather the perfect watch to snorkel or freedive with. Inside, one has a very modern, bespoke version of the ETA 2892, a slimmer and better engineered ETA 2824 alternative, but now with a 64-hour power reserve and slightly lower beat rate. For £2,150 in all configurations, this might be the best mix of design, charm and technology for a summer dive watch. But what do you think? Would you go for one of these options, or would you choose something completely different? Tell us in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share and subscribe to catch more here in future. Thank you very much for watching. This is Armon from WatchChronicler.com. Out.